What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Ohio Sports Talk. I'm Doug. That's Jordan. And Jordan, we are welcomed by a special guest today on our Memorial Special episode. Since we won't be here Monday, go ahead and introduce our guest, Jordan.
This is a guest. His name is Mike Ursery. He was a sergeant to me in the United States Marine Corps. We did some time together. We went a lot of places, a couple in the desert, a couple in the freezing ass cold, a lot of good adventures. I'm proud to have him on today. Mike, introduce yourself to our fans here, and we'll take it from there, brother.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for having me on.
Of course.
It's really cool concept what you're doing tonight, and glad to be a part
of it. Mike, so, obviously you guys have that connection through the military, the Marine Corps, that kind of stuff. Obviously, thank you so much for your service and, what you've done for the country. That, that can't ever be repaid. So we want to definitely let you know that it means a lot to us. What took you to the military, Mike?
My family has a large military background. I have a brother who currently serves as a captain in the Navy. My father is a retired lieutenant commander. I had two grandfathers who served in World War II. I had an uncle who served, actually two uncles who served. So, it's very, very common in my family. Around the time I was getting ready to graduate high school, I felt like I was done with school. I had continued education, graduating, I probably would have flunked out. So I decided to be military, and I spoke to the four branches. The Marines, of course, looked the coolest to me, so that's the one that I chose. 17-year-old kid, go figure.
So you enlist. Where are you sent to get your journey started?
Well, it started in San Diego. I did boot camp for 13 weeks there. Graduated, did some more training at Camp Pendleton, California after that. I was assigned to field artillery in the Marine Corps, and I did training for that in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and then I was sent to my first duty station in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I have a one deployment in the Mediterranean. Of course, I also have a deployment to Iraq and to Afghanistan. That deployment to the Mediterranean was that was one of the last deployments before 9/11. Matter of fact, 9/11 happened while we were on that deployment. We were on the tail end of it on our way back when that day came. And can't remember where I was going with this.
Your deployment obviously got interrupted by 9/11. Does that change and you go straight into that? I mean, what happens there? Not being a civilian, not having an idea of what really takes place. What changes when you're, go into wartime, pretty much?
Oh, well, yeah. As I was saying with that, that was one of the last deployments before 9/11 happened. And, that was just a lot of stops around Europe. We stopped in a few places around Spain, a couple in Italy, France. We were actually in Turkey. No, we had just left Turkey the day before 9/11. And like I said, we were on the tail end of that deployment, headed back to the States. The unit, the Marine Expeditionary Unit that was sent out to relieve us was already on their way. So the plan was just for them to, continue on, relieve us. We go back to the States, and of course, that MEU went to Afghanistan.
Okay. And I'm guessing there's, obviously a lot of nationalistic pride. Then did you re-up then to go back out?
Yeah, I did. And that was when I went to Iraq.
Okay. Go ahead, Jordan.
Then somewhere down the line, he got with 1st Battalion 10th Marines, and I rolled in as a boot with a big sucker on my head. Got yelled at a few times. Got broke in, a few good push-ups, a few good PTs, and I met Sergeant Ursery. Subsequently enough, most of our meetings and our conversations we're all about sports. We had a sports group that hung out by the smoke pit, which I used to smoke back in the day. So used to have a few stogies, and we would literally talk for as long as until they split the group up and we had to go to work.
Yeah.
Everything, and this is before the Chargers screwed Ursery over, but we would talk NFL football for hours on end, and who was going to do what. He was a bigger hockey fan than I was, so he did get me into the hockey game a little bit.
Jordan.
So
Jordan.
yes.
So around the time back then was when the whole relocation to LA talk started. Do you remember me telling all of you that if they moved, I was done? And all of you said,
110%.
all of you said no way, because you knew how much I loved that team.
So then let me jump in. So the Chargers end up moving a couple years later here, and you've given up on the Chargers. Let's transition into your fanhood. What's it like not doing something on Sunday? That just seems so foreign to me because I've been a Browns fan for 30 years. It's just like if that time of year, the fall onto the winter, I know what I'm doing on Sunday. What do you do on Sundays now? What's your fix in the middle of not having the Chargers anymore?
I mean, I still watch football. I'm not a fan of the team. I live in Maryland, so I get Commies games and I get Ravens games. I like watching Lamar. He's amazing.
He is something.
We had to suffer through that, Mike.
Yeah. Us AFC North guys, we get to see probably a little too much of Lamar.
More than you like.
Yeah, for sure. His talent is off the charts. So do you like watching Baltimore because they're a little bit better, or is there an in between with the Commanders and the Ravens?
I'd say I like watching Baltimore. They're a little bit better. They're more fun to watch. I don't have loyalty to any team, so I just want to watch good football. I will say it's a little weird. I used to despise the Chiefs. Today, the Chiefs are a dynasty, and I don't care. I have no feelings about it. It's so strange.
But Mike, I got enough hate for the both of us. It's all right.
All right. From year to year, it gets harder to get excited about it. Like during the summer when big NFL news breaks, I'm late to it. It just, it's just, I don't know if I'm just jaded, but I don't have that feeling anymore.
So shout out to Drew Garrison, does obviously a fantastic job covering the Bengals, doing all of his work. Thoughts with him and his father. Hell of a guy Drew is. Thanks for your support, Drew. Mike, you mentioned to me growing up in Arkansas, I just want to, return to something you mentioned earlier. You went out to San Diego first. What was it like going from Arkansas to San Diego? Was that a world, like a different world, or how did that feel leaving somewhere like Arkansas and going out there?
Well, when I went to San Diego, I was confined to Marine Corps Recruit Depot, so it's definitely a different world.
Yeah.
The depot there is right next to the airport in downtown San Diego. So imagine being there, hating it there, and watching planes take off all day.
You're thinking you're wishing you could be on one of those planes majority of the time. Yep. That's it. So looking at your Arkansas, growing up there, Jordan mentioned to me, and you mentioned big Razorbacks fan. Is that now kind of them and the Padres? Is that your teams? Those are your ride or dies type teams, or what do you how do you feel about the Razorbacks?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. A huge Hog fan. Come from a big family of Hog fans. I was raised on it. So, it would take something drastic, I think, for that to break. The same with the Padres. I've been watching them since I was 4 years old. When I was 4, my dad took me to my first game, and I fell in love with it.
It's kind of crazy how you end up in San Diego. You're a Padres fan, all that. It's just a weird way that all worked out. Do you have a favorite memory as a Razorbacks fan? And then we'll move into the Padres kicking on the Reds' ass this week, and we'll talk about one team going in the right direction, one team going in the wrong direction. But do you have any memories of a Razorback game or anything like that you really hold on to?
The basketball team winning the national championship in '93. 2011 football season, that they went 11-2, top 5 finish, Cotton Bowl win. And that was the year that the SEC had 3 teams in the top 3. Remember, it was LSU, Alabama, Arkansas. That was such a fun year.
Was that McFadden and Felix Jones year? Was the running backs, the smash and dash, was that year?
I think that was after.
Okay.
Yeah, that was after them. I can't remember. I remember they had that really good wide receiver core then. Greg Childs.
Yeah, I know. I remember what team you're talking about now. I just didn't know if that was the Felix Jones, because those teams were fun too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, you guys go 11-2. You're top 3, and you're the odd man out of the national championship watching Alabama and LSU play again. So, but that was like you said, that was a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
Padres. Let's talk about the Padres.
We got to touch. What year were you in the Sugar Bowl, Mike?
2011.
2011. Who'd you play in the Sugar Bowl?
That game no longer exists.
Oh, see, I wasn't going to poke the bear. I was going to just let it go. Ohio State won. I didn't want to be that guy, but Jordan can't help himself.
Yeah.
That's what makes Jordan special. But
when they had to vacate that bowl win, I let him have it. I let him have it.
Yeah, he did. He for about a year.
Yeah.
Hey, we when you bend the rules and that kind of stuff, you get what you take. But yeah, let's move to your Padres. What about the Padres brought you in? What you said with your dad, but was there a player that really caught your eye? Was there any of that kind of stuff that really caught your eye?
As a young kid, I was a Steve Garvey fan. Steve Garvey hit the walk-off in the '84 NLCS that sent the team to the World Series. I started watching the team the year after that, and he was like the hero then. So I became a Steve fan. Tony Gwynn, obviously. Eric Schau, I was a fan of him, and earlier today, been through a lot of pain. It's been a lot of bad seasons, but I bond over that team.
Right.
It's more than just baseball.
Yeah, I get it. That makes plenty of sense. I mean, with my dad, he's always a Browns fan. Always, grew up watching him watch the team, and it just kind of clicked for me. So I do understand some of that. Mike, let's get back into something we talked about at the beginning. You're a former sports writer. How did you get into sports writing? What got you what got you into that field?
Well, in high school, I figured out that I was pretty decent at writing. I had an English teacher who actually made me aware of that. And just watching sports growing up, it was clear that I wasn't ever going to be a professional athlete, but I wanted to be in it in some capacity. And so I thought doing something I'm good at to, get my foot into it. After I graduated college, my first job was as a sports writer. I was a sports editor at a small newspaper in Missouri, a town called Fayette. I covered high school sports mainly. We had a college in the area, Central Methodist University. You remember the name Tony Harris? That's her.
What sport?
Football. She was the first female to skills position player to take a scholarship.
Impressive. Super impressive.
Yeah, so I actually got to be a part of that. That was really cool. I got to meet her and do a story on her, and that was awesome.
That is the fact that you were there at that time and you got it, and that piece of history is incredible. How how far did sports writing get for you? What was the highest level you got to cover?
NAIA was
NIAA.
well,
Nice.
it's college, FCS.
Yeah. Okay. So, you have this knack for writing. Do you you went in and then you went into the military. Did you give up writing? Do you write it all now? Where is that taking you? Do you still have a passion for it at all?
I still do it in my spare time. Spare time that I ever have. I do pest control for a living now. I have a very busy schedule, especially this time of year because.
Oh yeah, right when the bugs are all coming out and all that. Yeah, I could imagine being in that field at this time.
Yeah, and since then I've expanded into design and video and just it's more of like a hobby now than anything.
Nice. Mike, obviously we appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Jordan, do you have anything to close with for Mike? Mike, I got one more thing for you, Mike. Sorry. Just popped into my head. Obviously, this is Memorial Day weekend. That means a lot to a lot of different people. Do you have something that Memorial Day means to you? Given that you've served and that kind of, you have the family that served. What does Memorial Day mean to you?
That's the day when I think about the people that I knew who are here. When I first got out, I wanted to do this tradition where I'd like run a mile for like each person. And it started out as like a 3-mile run, but it's, unfortunately grown. So I no longer do the run, but, it's personal for me because these are people that I knew personally and they're no longer here.
Yeah. We appreciate you sharing that with us. And personally, I'm thankful for, everything that has been sacrificed and what you guys have done for our country. So I appreciate you bringing that up and talking to us about that. Again, thank you for your time. I'm glad we've got to interact a little bit on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We appreciate your support, your interactions, all that kind of stuff. It means a lot to us. And we are super, super excited to have you on and get to talk to you, for, 15, 20 minutes.
And if I do a shameless plug really quick.
Oh, please do. Please plug away.
All right. I cover the Padres in my spare time. You can find my work at eastvillagetimes.com. East Village Times is a San Diego sports-based website. The main team we cover is the Padres, but they also cover San Diego State sports. Let's see, FC Loyal. Other teams that I can't think of right now. But anything San Diego, we cover.
Yeah. And then, give us that name one more time.
East Village Times.
East Village Times.
VillageTimes.com.
Times.com. Okay, we're gonna tweet that out a little bit later. Of course. Anytime, Mike, you want to come on, talk some sports, just catch up. We appreciate that. I know Jordan, definitely appreciates you coming on and giving us that time. So we'll obviously be in touch. And guys, check out eastvillagetimes.com. We'll definitely check it out and get a little updated on what's going on in that San Diego area. Definitely. Thank you again, Mike, for your time, and see you around. Okay.
Hey,
right.
Mike, hey, I love you, brother. We've been through a lot together, a lot more to go.
Yep.
We're definitely going to bring you on for some more sports talk.
I'd love to do it.
We have a passion for baseball. I'll brush up on some of my hockey. Unfortunately, the Blue Jackets suck right now again. They had a little bit of success when we were serving together, but those times have long gone. And just this weekend, you and I will be in touch heavily. We got a lot to catch up on. First time 10th Marines forever. Again, I love you, brother. The far cry from being outside in negative 20 degrees, trying to stay warm around the generator, playing Uno.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks so much for having me on. Love to be on again. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thanks again, Mike. You have a great rest of your day.
right. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarge.
Okay, Jordan, that was Mike Ursery. That was really a lot of good information, a lot of stuff that we don't think about every day. We don't get to really reflect on, and that's somebody for you from your past who you've rekindled with, got back into touch with, however you want to word it. Really interesting guy. We could have done 20 more minutes and just listen to stories and listen to him talk. So definitely shout out to him. We'll definitely have him on again, and hopefully get to touch on some more of those stories. And then at the end there, getting to hear what Memorial Day means to him and what he's done for this country and what he's seen happen. It's really important. So shout out to Mike. Thanks, Jordan, for setting that up and getting him on here and getting to share that story. Let's transition into something a little bit lighter, Jordan. The Cavaliers have officially fired JB Bickerstaff. Shout out to the organization for getting rid of him. We needed that. This team needed a reset, Jordan, and we have that reset now. We're in the coaching hunt. Based on the media, Jordan, a lot of these coaches were waiting on the Cavs to make a move if they were going to fire JB, not fire JB. Here we go. We're in business now. A lot of these coaches, we're going to get a good chance at. What are your thoughts on getting JB out of here? And then we'll talk about who we potentially see as the next head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Well, as analysts, Doug, and as professionals, I'm going to give respect where respect is due. JB's time, it wasn't a complete waste. I respect him coming in. He came into a shitty situation, organization that was kind of in chaos. Some of the weirdest roster construction we've ever seen in our lives. We were kind of just a dumping pit for free agents and bad trades and just kind of roster runoffs. And so for him to come in and bring us some stabilization, thank you, JB Bickerstaff. We appreciate what you brought to us. We appreciate kind of restructuring the organization and giving it at least some direction. You brought us some good drafts. You brought us some ones that didn't hit, but that's the NBA give and take of the business. I wish you well elsewhere. Now, with that being said, transitioning on there, I'm excited. The locker room needed a huge voice, a new voice. Too many contracts upcoming, and now we can start making a decision. So I am 100% thrilled that the organization has moved on. We've realized that JB's coaching credit finally hit a ceiling, and it's got to be broke through. We got to push further. Looking at the Indiana game, you and I texted back and forth and said, the Cavs weren't as ready as we thought they were, at least with this roster and or coaching staff, because Indiana kind of conformed and really threw some haymakers. That was extremely entertaining. And
they're still hard. They're playing hard right now. It makes me even happier that we got rid of JB, because we get to see what a good coach like Rick Carlisle can do and the way he can help a team that's close, but he's kind of putting them over the top with his ability to coach. And we didn't have that, Jordan. I know we went through some injuries and stuff this year. This decision for me wasn't based on just this year. This is something that I thought was brewing the last year. And, it felt to me like he had lost the locker room a little bit and things weren't headed in a good direction. So to me, this is the right move. And we've been talking about this all season. So while I do thank him for getting us out of the gutter, the ceiling, we hit the ceiling. We got to the ceiling. We need somebody to take us through that next ceiling. And let's talk about it, Jordan. The media has brought up a couple names. We know Kenny Atkinson, a guy that you're going to touch on here in a second, has been rumored to be getting an interview. And then Borrego, the former Charlotte coach, has been talked about getting interviewed. Tell me what caught your eye about Kenny Atkinson, and let me know who else you think could be the next coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Just diving right into Kenny Atkinson, just kind of reading on his history. He's worked with both Jarrett Allen and Karis LeVert over in their time in Brooklyn. So, he's somebody that's obviously a little bit familiar with Cleveland because that was then for us, that was a kind of a blockbuster trade when the Kyrie deal was going down and we had to reconstruct the roster. And, we moved some big pieces around. A lot of that didn't end up working out, but, Kenny Atkinson is somebody he's got great experience. He's been on playoff teams. He's been on contending teams. He's worked with veterans. So he's got a kind of, from everything that I'm hearing, he's always had kind of a positive voice in the locker room. He's never really rubbed anybody the wrong way. You don't hear anybody speaking out against him, which is always kind of a plus because, when relationships end during coaching tenders, the truth comes out. So it's always like we wait for that final game to hear what's been said and what's really not been said during the season. So he's got a lot of positivity.
And then, just to boost your thoughts on Kenny Atkinson, he has been an assistant with the Golden State Warriors the last couple of years. They won the 2021 championship with him and on the staff. He's been offered other jobs. He turned down the Hornets job. So, maybe we can allure Kenny Atkinson, and I think that's a good good move. Who else is on your list though?
My list is shorter than yours. Somebody that we, bringing back Lou. I think that's the home run hit that everybody's kind of on, but there's a lot more variables that has to go into that. His current contract situation, the team that he's on. I'm not 100% sure what the numbers are, or if he's locked in, or if he himself can walk away from it, and what that would entail.
I think he's available. But I'm sure the Clippers get first dibs. But I think he's available though.
I would definitely make some phone calls if he's not available. I know in a day and age, coaches can be traded. We've seen that in contract spellings, especially in the NBA. You kind of saw Doc Rivers go through that about 4 or 5 years ago. So it's something that definitely can happen. I think that if we're going to bring in some veterans to fill out the bench and move some of the kind of heavier contracts around, I think somebody that knows more of the business side. I think Lou would be our grand slam pick. But there's no, I won't say there's no wrong because it's Dan Gilbert and that still makes me worried. But there's not many wrong directions this team could go because we still have the youth and the talent. We still have some picks. We still have some contracts that we can move around. And anybody that we trade the media saying a Darius Garland would be the most coveted trade of this upcoming summer. And that's sweet music to our ears. The Darius Garland experiment.
That means we're getting players back.
Yeah. That doesn't happen a lot for Cleveland, folks. So the fact that he's being prized as the number one trade, and Jared Allen's in the top 5. We have the pieces, and we need to lock down the voice and the guy who's going to facilitate it. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Jordan, my top hires would be obviously I have Ty Lue as the home run, like we both mentioned. My number one candidate, Mike Ursery from the Timberwolves, who has been doing head coaching duties with Chris Finch and his knee injury. And then I would say David Adelman from the Nuggets, and then Chris Quinn from the Miami Heat. Again, I'm not against Kenny Atkinson at all. I like what he's done in his career, but I also like these guys. I like what Mike Ursery is doing, showing himself well in these Timberwolves series. They're coming off that win against the Nuggets. Chris Quinn has been the head of player development in Miami for the last few years, and nobody develops people that you've heard little about better than Miami. Their guys are always ready, and he's a major cog in that. I think that could only make the Cavs better. And then the David Adelman, one of the top assistants in the NBA. He's been on that level for a long time. Been a very important cog in the Denver Nuggets success. So we have a lot of good options, and I think this is a good time for the Cavs. I'm glad we got JB out. Again, thank you. But now we can move into these meetings, these interviews, and we get to have we're probably not going to get who the Lakers want, but we're going to get that second guy, and I think that's really big for us. We might be a better job than the Lakers right now just based on youth and things like that, and dealing with LeBron dealing with that kind of thing, unless LeBron comes back.
It's
then we
always
can
a
deal with that, because
possibility.
I would love to deal with that. And that would be a problem I'd love to have. I think it feels different in Cleveland than it does in other places. But yeah, Jordan, this is going to be an interesting time. We're going to have some more Cavs to obviously talk about as we start getting some of the information on who's getting interviewed for the job. Any other thoughts though on the coaching situation for Cleveland? It's a good time. It's a good time to be a Cavs fan, in my opinion. Jordan, what are your thoughts?
It 100% is. I'll sound like a broken record and reiterate. It definitely. We have youth. We have a young roster. We have a talented roster. They've been to the playoffs back-to-back years. We won our first series. We threw a couple punches at Boston, but showed, like you said, whether it was injuries or I think our coaching staff was playing checkers while Boston was playing chess. And I think we move in bigger voices, bigger things. We make Donovan Mitchell happy that we can start finally engaging in those contract talks. And I'm sure if he's sticking around, he's going to have a lot to do with who comes in as the head coach. And I think that's another important reason that we had to get JB out. There's just too much writing with the personnel. Got to make the personnel happy. Got to have a guy that, wins back the locker room, kind of regenerates us, rejuvenates, and brings out the best talent. And like I said, again and again, the media is saying we have two top players that are going to be covenant for trade talks. So I think, hell yeah, it makes us even more attractive. Where in years past we were kind of a team where maybe somebody comes over. LeBron made a lot of good noise, and that was kind of the team there. Not taking anything away from his teammates, but we had Kyrie and a couple of exciting players, but we were never like a coveted place that people think of like, damn, let me get down to Cleveland. And now you look at our roster and it's like, damn, maybe I want to go to Cleveland. And that's something in the last decade that that hasn't been really around the NBA. So this is the most, in my opinion, since us drafting LeBron in the 2000s, the most exciting time to be a Cavs fan, because there's just too much positivity going into the summer.
And now we get to, we're obviously this could all change very quickly, but we're also getting the spot where we're hearing some good things about the Donovan Mitchell extension. We may be getting him to sign that extension. That could be huge for us. So I'm sure, if he signs, I'm sure he will have a say in the coaching staff. I think that's apparent. But we'll have a lot.
And free agents.
Go ahead. Oh, and for sure. Free agents, everything. That's what you have to do. You have to build around your star and then work your way from there. So I totally agree with you. I'm excited about the coaching search. I hope we can get our guy and the guy who can break us through that glass ceiling that we're stuck on right now, because it sucks watching teams like the Pacers push the Boston Celtics. We shouldn't be behind the Knicks. They've been good a couple of years out of a fucking 30 years. So we shouldn't be behind some of these teams that we are right now, and that does bother me. But, Jordan, time to transition. Our next guest is in the lobby. Let's bring him in. Jimmy. How the hell are you, buddy? Jimmy, good to have you. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you're doing here. Tell us why you're wearing that stupid hat.
Okay, yeah, there we go. I'm surprised that you allowed me to be on this show because Cleveland fans like to ignore the problems and just push them off to the side and don't worry about them. I am one of the hosts of the Far End of the Bench podcast. We met through Variety Sports Network, and then Jordan and I work on Talking the Gridiron. We are both Bengals fans, Jordan by geography, me by choice. So take your pick as to who has it worse. It's kind of up in the air at this point. I am very loyal, so I have not gone away. And that loyalty paid off a few years ago. And
it really did. It really did, man.
It paid off, and now we're just waiting to see what the next move is. So I'm here to talk Bengals and annoy Doug. That's the other thing that I'm good at.
I'm glad to have you on here, Jimmy. I know we go back and forth, and I like to poke buttons and do that kind of stuff. But something I've always wondered, Jimmy, obviously because geography does play a big part a lot of times in team your fandom and things like that. How did you decide on the Bengals? What was the draw? What was kind of some of the factors there?
I always tried to go at it with an open mind. Like I didn't want to follow the same teams that my dad did. And he wasn't really like we didn't follow anybody religiously. My mom was more of a diehard Bronco fan than my dad was. And we were just watching TV. And I think the Bengals stripes kind of caught me at first. And going from there, like Carson Palmer, TJ Houshmandzadeh, Ocho Cinco, Rudy Johnson. It was Palmer and Rudy Johnson were the backfield when I first fell in love with the Bengals. And Malaluga, I had a Malaluga jersey that I would wear at school and get laughed at.
Not the Malaluga jersey. Yeah, come on.
Black 58. That was my initial. Hey, I upgraded to an orange Munoz. So eventually I graduated to that. But when I was first coming out there, that was my guy. I was kind of a USC fan when I was a little kid because
hey, we drafted the shit out of those guys. Frosty Rucker, Carson Palmer,
everybody we can get our hands on. Wasn't Achilles Smith also USC or was he somewhere else?
I think he was. Without looking into it. So you get into you picked a good time to become a fan. I mean, Carson Palmer, if he doesn't get hurt, let's be honest, you guys might have won the Super Bowl that year. You guys were damn good that it's true. Don't
take me back to 05.
I mean, that's when Jimmy became a fan. We got to touch on it. And you guys were really damn good then. I mean, you had weapons for days. You had a top 6-ish, 5-6 quarterback. Carson Palmer was a damn good player. That's, it's unfortunate how things ended with him. But everything happens for a reason. And now you guys have Joe Burrow. Jimmy, schedules come out, all that kind of stuff. I know you guys have talked about it, talking the gridiron, all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of wondering how you're feeling going into this season with the Bengals.
It's not necessarily the schedule that they have to play. I think it's nicer to play the Chiefs early on because we'll see that matchup quicker in the season. I feel like they kind of give away too much when they play closer to the playoffs. It's more about the Bengals figuring out their timeline and their schedule. We cannot go through another season where we try and make sure that nobody plays preseason and roll it out there and have the first 3 weeks of the season be winless, like offers, absolutely laughed out of the building because you just refuse to put pads on. It's not that hard. People went through it for a long time before you guys decided that it was too much. And the teams that are more successful, maybe they don't hit as much as they used to back in the 90s, but they will definitely at least put the pads on and they will hit once or twice a week. That's basically all you need, but you got to do something. Joe Burrow has to play in the preseason, and we got to make sure that man stays healthy because that's a big investment to be wasting. One of my other teams is already wasting an $8 million a year investment. I can't have another team putting money in the bank that doesn't go anywhere. Joe Burrow needs to be on the field. That's his stipulation. That's the other stipulation in his contract. If he's not out there, then it's a wash. It's pointless. Why are we out? Why are we even playing the season? Jake Browning ain't going to do nothing for us.
No. He had a couple fun games, though, Jimmy. He did have a couple fun games. Quick shout-out to Darren. Thanks for stopping in, Darren. Big shout-out to Jimmy. Jordan, your thoughts on the preseason? I know you're one of those kind of guys, too. You like to hit. You like to get out and get everybody warmed up. Do you think this is more because the season has been extended, guys, that maybe the Bengals think they can take a little bit more time at the beginning of the year? What are your thoughts on that, Jordan? With the season extending a little bit.
Well, offensively, no. As long as we've had Frank Pollock for both of his stints, he's been kind of a joke when it comes to preseason. He doesn't get the offensive linemen out there. He doesn't get the starters going. And Jimmy knows this both as a coach and as a player. When you're an offensive line or any line, you're holding hands. You should be fucking holding hands from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. You should be wiping each other's asses, everything extensively, because
that was in confidence, Jordan.
I was in confidence. Hey,
it's a line that you weren't supposed to share that.
The Marine Corps wasn't that far off, so you're all right, Jimmy. It's just it's ridiculous to me. We pay these guys millions of dollars. We bring in guys with Super Bowl experience 2 years ago. We bring in another guy who has Super Bowl experience to play left tackle. We draft a top guy from Georgia who's just about as mountain as a man. These guys need to get the experience, and it needs to happen because the offensive line and the offense in general just looks so shitty the first 2 to 3 weeks. Throws are off. The timing's not there, and that's everything you need for a winning
reps.
a winning fucking
reps.
recipe.
It's got to
And
be reps.
Repetition is the father of learning. That's something that somebody told me a very long time ago, and it has to happen this season, because you can't come out and play from 2 games behind, 3 games behind, and we missed the playoffs by a fucking game, injury or not. The Texans game is a highlight, but you missed that. Could be week 1 or week 2. We opened the season against the fucking Patriots, and there is no reason right now. Vegas has a 7.5 point up and winners on that. So there's no point that we can't come out and beat them like a fucking drum. It has to happen. We got to make that statement that we're here, we're healthy. We upgraded the line again. We got some defensive guys in.
On the line. You guys got some
absolute
monsters.
It's the biggest offensive line I remember for a little bit of time. Like at least the tackles. Kappa and Karras inside are a little bit smaller.
Yeah, they're not.
Volson's a manimal too, though. Volson on the other side is nothing to slouch at, but that's huge. Those are 3 massive humans.
And I think we're going to see our first round draft pick in some kind of extra blocking or some kind of blocking schemes. It's got to happen, right?
Seeing the videos of those 3 guys working together and just the mass that those 3 guys have together. It's obviously got to be exciting as Bengals fans seeing those guys work together and seeing Orlando Brown teach Mims these young guys working together. Jimmy, what is the Bengals' weakness this year besides health? What is your guys' biggest weakness that you're worried about come Sunday?
It's not adapting to the situation at hand. I get that everybody goes in with a game plan, and we all want to be Bill Walsh and cut off the other team's headset so that everybody has to go off the script and you can't call in any adjustments. But we have to adjust. You have to be able to get out of things. If what you want to do is not working, figure out a way to kick yourself into that. A lot of the times that goes back to running the football, and you cannot run the football if you're in the shotgun. And I know we were in shotgun last year because Burrow, for the first however many weeks of the season with the calf, couldn't get from under center. But you have to we talked about it. If your offensive line isn't all on the same page, what's the hardest thing for them to do? Block 5 on 5 on the defense. They have to pick up the blitzers. We don't have any extra tight ends. We don't have any play action. There's nothing else. Everybody knows it's a pass. We're in shotgun. Burrow throws the ball. That's all we do. You put your offensive line in a terrible position, and you refuse to get yourself out of it. I say what you want about the health. When he came back, we saw it a little bit. But then even with Browning, Jordan, we talked about it a few times. Why make Browning play Burrow's game plan?
He threw the ball a lot. He had to throw the ball. Well, I know.
He did have to. They forced him to throw the ball a lot. But what's Jake Browning better at than Joe Burrow is using his legs. He's the guy that you use the rollout, the pocket. You have the receivers, especially last year with Higgins, Boyd, and Chase when he was healthy. You could have made your life so much easier, but you just continued to beat your head against the wall. And that was the most frustrating thing. Like the coaching staff, you've been here, you've been together long enough. It was the longest tenured offensive coordinator, head coach, and defensive coordinator. Now that offensive coordinator will be new with I can't think Kitchener.
Yeah.
Kitchener. That'll be new this year, but like, come on. Even everybody can see this is not working. Let's do something to adjust. Even if it doesn't work, at least you proved that you tried something different. It was better than sitting there and just watching the same pass, punt. Pass, punt. Interception. Nice.
Okay, so that's okay. Then if this, what's the worst case scenario then, guys? If this season doesn't go the way people are thinking, the way that it could go for you guys with the talent, with the quarterback, with all that, what's the worst case scenario? Does Zach Taylor lose his job? What's the next step if this doesn't get going the right way like it was for the Super Bowl? Jordan, what are your thoughts on what's the worst possible outcome?
I want to circle back a little bit. What am I most worried about this year? I know the offensive play calling, but Zach Taylor has made comments that he's going to be less involved, but we'll actually see if that comes to fruition. But hearing those things in the media at least makes me feel a little bit better that we won't be running the same fucking play calls, every week to a T, to a script. But I'm still a little bit weary of defensive tackle. We're still not secure in a 3 technique, and with our best defensive tackle over in Detroit now, it's It's opened up everything outside of BJ Hill is a question mark until we see the product on the field. So I am definitely worried about the defensive tackle position. Defensive ends, we're going to be fine. They're going to retool it. Miles Murphy's going into year 2. So I think Lou's going to take the strings off and let him actually play. But worst case scenario, the worst case scenario would be the best case scenario for me. I think Zach Taylor needs to be fired. I wasn't happy with him last year. I wasn't fully impressed with him even during the Super Bowl run to many degrees. He puts our quarterback in shitty situations, kind of touching on what Jimmy said. We get one-dimensional. We just kind of this is what we're doing, beat us at it. And outside the phenomenal year that we kind of came out of the gate and people didn't know us, that big comeback. I mean, everything past that big comeback against Kansas City, we've been kind of one-dimensional. The league kind of figured us out. The league caught up. So my best case scenario, worst case scenario would be Zach Taylor fucking gone and we get a new staff in.
Okay. That sounds like you want that potentially. So but I understand what you're getting at. Okay. So Jimmy, we've seen the schedule. We touched on it a little bit. What's your way too early prediction for the Bengals this season record wise?
I'm gonna get it. I should be prepared.
I could read off the whole schedule for you, but I don't know if you need every single game from me.
No, I'm looking here. I think that the biggest tests, that first game against the Ravens, because the way that they own the division, I'm looking forward to that game. And I think if we're at where this team needs to be, the Patriots should be an easy win.
Yep.
The Commanders with a new quarterback should be an easy win. The Panthers were a fucking joke last year. The only game that you struggle with before that Ravens game is the Chiefs, and you get the Chiefs and Ravens really early on in the season. So we'll know exactly what to expect from this team, which I think is the best part about this Bengals schedule. And I can't see the other thing that you normally look at there is when there's a bye. But the matchups, I'm worried about the divisional games more than anything. I know that it's nice to win games outside your division, but we were 0 for the longest time, and that was embarrassing. And that's another reason why we were left out of the playoff picture come the end of the season. So I want to take care of business. I want to you look to at least split. You try and win 4 games against your division, so get that 4-2 record at least. This will possibly be interesting for what we were just talking about too. If the Chiefs smack you in week 2, you struggle with the Patriots week 1, you barely beat the Commanders, and then the Panthers happen to give you a shock right before going into that Ravens game, that seat under Zach Taylor goes from to wow, this is not good. Mayday, mayday. Anarumo, you might be taking over the head coaching set because this has not worked out, and we're getting our asses kicked. We still got a lot of games to go against good teams. We have to figure out something because we have everything invested in this team right now. There's a lot of money tied up. This is the most money that our owner has spent in however long, and if this doesn't work out, we're not getting that back. This is like when your mom gives you the one chance, and if you accidentally come home at 12:01, you're like, I'll never go out in high school again. Dang it. Get back before curfew. Do it.
That's good. I like that comparison. I want a number. I want the wins. How many wins this season, Jimmy?
All right,
how many wins?
I am seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 against the Giants. We'll beat the Browns for 5. Beat the Raiders for 6.
Jimmy, is this the year we actually split with Cleveland? In a fair
I hope so. But I feel like it's not going to – I would say yes, but I said yes 2 years ago and we got offered. I said yes last year we got offered. And it's going to work out where we beat them in Cleveland and they come back and beat us at home later on in the season when there's more to play for. So that's just the way that this rivalry has gone. It's kind of ridiculous at that point. I'm going to say safest guess or safest, most bold prediction, I'll say 11 wins. Okay. If I'm going to go out there on a limb, 12, maybe 13, if they're playing really hot and they have things clicking, it could go the opposite way too. I think that lowest point would probably be like kind of where they were last year, 7, 8, 9, probably lower than 7. And we see a new coaching staff. because this, like I said, has too much tied up into it at this point. So they're not hitting the reset button anywhere else. The easiest place to reset, and every NFL franchise basically looks at it every year. If we get a new coach, that resets the clock on the GM and everybody else. Fan base is like, okay, let's get somebody else in here because he'll be able to fix it. Don't pay attention to all the other warts that we have on the NFL roster.
Yeah, that's for sure. So you're, you guys, there's obviously the potential is there for you guys to have a fantastic season. I think I had you guys going 11 and what, 6? Is that what it is now? 11 and 6.
We did.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm right there with you.
We're on the same page then.
Yeah. I mean, maybe 10 and 7 if a division game goes the opposite way and we sweep. I had to split. If we sweep, I just, for fun, I have to say it's us that sweep you guys. So, but 11 and 7, 10, or 11 and 6, 10 and 7, right in that range is where I've got it. Jimmy, before we get out of here, get you off, Memorial Day weekend, Jimmy, a lot of thoughts, a lot of different things go into this. What does Memorial Day mean to you, Jimmy? Or any, special memories you have of Memorial Day weekend, that kind of whole thing. What do you got for us?
It's a very exciting. I enjoy this time of year, and I enjoy Memorial Day. It's kind of like the kickoff of summer. I'm sure that it's similar up in Ohio, but this is when pools open up in the communities. Yep. First weekend that you can go out and just spend all day basking in the sun, swimming as much as you want to. So the time of the year has a special meaning to it. And now coming into contact with people like Jordan and having other people in my life that are veterans, it's it's something that you can't really describe. Like, you can read as many books, you can watch as many movies, hear as many stories as you want to. And I want to try and absorb all of that, because those are the things that continue on after we go. And I teach history. So I get to teach a lot about the different conflicts and the different ways things have happened in the world. So in a small act of service, I hope to pass on the stories that the United States military has done, and tell them about the good, tell them about the bad, things where we went in and did a lot of good, and things where maybe we struggled. But that's the way that things work, because myself personally, I'm trying to make these kids better in the future, and got to be able to show them there's good, there's bad, there's ups, there's downs. The U.S. military is amazing, and all the veterans, no matter what, deserve to be celebrated. And Memorial Day is a great way to remember that.
Yeah, very well said, Jimmy. Very well said. Last thing before we get you out of here, buddy, go ahead and promote the podcast. Tell us where we can find you, what days we can see you, what time are the Nuggets playing? Are they busy this week? Or,
yeah.
No, we lost 2, so I'm just fucking around. But
I think they're on the same flight to Vegas with the Cavs. Maybe Donovan Mitchell got out there a few days earlier than the Nuggets did, and Jokic is on his way back to Serbia so that he can watch his horse racing. So
Jesus,
we have a ton of content at the far end of the bench. So if you're interested in anything that I said, the far end of the bench on YouTube, subscribe to it. There, go back. We had live shows after every Avalanche and Nuggets playoff game, even after they both got eliminated back-to-back nights in succession on home ice and home court. It's not as bad as a couple years ago where it was 8 days in a row where the Nuggets lost, Avs lost, Nuggets lost, and it was 4-4 on both sides. So it wasn't as bad as it has been, but we're having a ton of fun. We're starting to build up some different sides of the content. I got a project in the works that I'm hoping to get done by the end of this summer. So at FEOTB Pod, you can catch me on Talking the Gridiron, some of the other Variety Sports Network shows, and whenever you guys need an extra Bengals opinion or anything like that, I'm willing to talk it all. So appreciate you guys having me on, and if you enjoyed having me here, if you enjoyed listening, because I know Ohio sports, you guys have a great following, and Ohio's one of the places I'm jealous of. It seems like a town, a state that I could have very easily grown up in, and it wouldn't have been too much different. So if you enjoyed anything, check out Nico and I, the Far End of the Bench podcast at FEOTB Pod, and everything like that.
Jimmy, we 100% appreciate you, and you will be a guest this season. There's at least 2 games where I could potentially have you on just for fun, and then there's 2 games where you guys could make fun of me. So that is going to be fun. We'll definitely have you on to talk some Bengals throughout the season. Just want to let you know we definitely appreciate you, and you guys on the Far End of the Bench do a hell of a job covering all things sports out there. So thanks again, and we will talk soon, Jimmy. Anything for him, Jordan?
Jimmy, I appreciate you being on. I'll definitely see you on the gridiron, I think, in a week or two, and we'll take off from there. I always love to be on the far end of the bench. So I've been there twice. I keep saying I need to get my third title and get the belt.
We'll have you on because Nico's at PLL training camp, so I'm gonna have to figure something out for the next couple weeks.
What's a residency for Jordan look like on the far end of the bench? Because we can work something out if we need to. A little sign and trade action.
It depends. What assets do you have? Because I can tell you what assets we have, and I pulled out my pockets. It's too low on the camera, so you guys can't see. There ain't nothing here. We're still building, so we'll figure out the retainer on the back end. Talk to me on the back end.
Damn,
totally appreciate you, Jimmy.
I'm just a trade piece.
That's all it is. Until next time, Jimmy. Thanks again, buddy. See you soon.
See ya, guys.
Oh, Jordan, that was fun. Jimmy's a lot of fun. A wealth of knowledge when it comes to Bengals football, sports in general. He's a knowledgeable guy, so it's great to get him on here and get his perspective. As we wind it down, Jordan, Memorial Day obviously means a lot to you. Your service, and we touched on it a little bit earlier with Mike in that interview. Maybe give us a little insight to Memorial Day for you, and then we'll get out of here for the day.
Memorial Day for me, it is it weighs heavy. It's good and it's bad, but not in a total sense of bad. I go. We have a couple. Unfortunately, I have a second lieutenant that ended up getting out as a captain. He's buried up towards Centerville area. They founded Freedom Whiskey, so I will be drinking plenty of that this weekend. I'll go and visit his headstone. I'll definitely spend some time out there. I retouch with a lot of Marines I served with in one capacity or the other. Sometimes we FaceTime. Sometimes we just bullshit in a group chat. It's always fun. Always good to check on them. And time with family. This year in particular, my daughter she's been learning a lot in school through history. She just came back from a trip from DC last weekend. Cut my weekend short. They came back a little early, but they came back, and she came back with all the right questions. Talking about my service with her has been kind of a closed book. And we kind of opened that book a little bit. She got to see the National Cemetery. She got to see the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Among it, they got to walk the fields of Gettysburg. So it kind of opened her eyes. A lot of questions she had, why I am the way I am, were kind of answered quietly. So it was a much positive experience. And always catching up with you guys. In any capacity. I know you got your hands full. The more kids, the more running around you got going on.
Sure.
And there ain't nothing wrong with that, brother. But growing up, it was something that was always fun. We were either at Trey's pool, we were grilling out, or we went to the Wilson. And, those have been some great traditions. And we'll keep it going one way or the other. But it means the world to me. It's just a lot of thoughtfulness on my men that aren't here anymore. And that's what I chalk it up to. And then teaching and hanging out with everybody that's here, and that's important. That's the important part for me. Get wrapped up in the family I do have and the friends I do have, and we just kind of celebrate and be together. And I think that's the best part of the weekend. So.
That's what I want to piggyback off of. It's not always, you don't always get to say everything you feel. You don't always get to, say the thank yous you want to say to people. It's not always easy saying those things, but you get to be together with your family. You get to be together with the people that are most important to you, and you get these things because of what people have gone through in the past, what people have fought for in our history. And I think that's what's most important is you kind of in the back of your mind, hey, I can do such and such because people put their life on the line for this country, and you personally. And we don't always talk about it. We don't always, say what needs to be said. But I think how I feel, and that I've supported you. And
you and your family. A big shout out to your family. Your mom and dad have supported me for forever, and still do. It was good to see her. Good to see your mom. Good to see Wendy. Your aunt, your grandma. So
yep.
I was happy to rekindle and recatch up. But absolutely know what it means to your family, especially your dad. He taught us a lot growing up, and words can't say enough. So just like you said, we don't always get to say what we want, but it's definitely shown in our actions.
Yep. And then to close, Jordan, I just want to say thank you to everybody who served, who is serving. If you're watching this, we appreciate you, and it may feel like it's not always noticed, but people know, and they see that and they appreciate it, and it is important. So this weekend's about you, and thank you for everything you've done for us, Jordan. Last couple of things before we get out of here, man. 198 people watching at our peak tonight. Hell of a night. I know we went very long tonight. We were just hitting the hour mark. We had our interview with Mike Ursery, which was fantastic. We're going to chop that up and put that onto YouTube by itself. We talked to Jimmy for a good short period of time, and then we talked a little bit of Cavs. It's been a good night. We want to say thank you to every single person who took the time to click on the link, to watch us, to comment on the video, comment on the show. It means the world to us. So I just wanted to say that. And Jordan, go ahead and close us out for the night.
I'm going to close this out. Always thank you to the fans. When we reconvene, if I can speak this evening, we'll definitely retouch on the Reds. I know we kind of got lost in a little bit of translation, but hopefully it gets better. Hopefully the Dodgers come into town, and they're going to do a little stint in Cincinnati, and hopefully it's better results. But finishing up on that, David Bell threw a chair. I did want to mention that in our show. Our last show on Monday, I said I wanted a fucking Moneyball moment, and damn it, he gave me the Brad Pitt moment with throwing a chair. Another player got hit in the hand. David Bell said, whatever it was, karma, the universe, he finally had enough. He finally acted like all the rest of us. There may be hope for him, very little, but we'll celebrate what we got, because there's nothing else going on in Redsville. So I just wanted to close on that thought, and just thank you to the fans. We do it for you. This is a huge hobby of ours. This is a huge passion. If anything, we always want to take the show further. We want to bring you guys great quality, great content, good organized conversation. And I feel like we're doing that. We're only going to get better for you guys, and continue to interact with us. Ohio Sports Talk. We're on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
TikTok now. We're on TikTok.
We're on TikTok, baby. I wanted to mention that. Whatever TikTok, we're breaking into the world of TikTok. Give us a little bit. We'll break into it. I think my daughter's probably going to teach me more about it in the next 2 days than I've known about it in the last 2 years. Me and Doug will go to school. We'll get counseled, and we'll bring you some great content there. But just thank you again. Y'all have a safe weekend. Whether you're watching Indy 500, whether you're watching some great baseball, paying attention to the rest of the NBA Finals, or just being with family. Be safe. We'll reconvene sometime next week. We'll still put out content. I think we'll put a little video package message out for Monday, but we'll see you guys then. We'll see you guys, next Thursday.
And I think we're gonna get our intro on next show. I'm working on an intro. So 203 people means the world to us. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. It means a lot, because we like doing this, and it feels nice when people come and check out your product, and that means a lot. This has been Ohio Sports Talk. I'm Doug. That's Jordan. Have a safe Memorial weekend, and we will see you